Kathmandu by Vikram Seth. You all must have heard of sacred places, temples, and you all must have even visited them in your area, in your state. Here Vikram Seth speaks of Kathmandu as a religious place, and he gives a description of the temples there, one which is sacred for the Hindus and the other sacred for Buddhists. So let's read. I get a cheap room in the center of town and sleep for hours. The next morning, with Mr. Shah's son and nephew, I visit the two temples in Kathmandu that are most sacred to Hindus and Buddhists. So I over here is Vikram Seth, and he says that when he reaches Kathmandu, he gets in the middle of the town a room for his own self and he sleeps over there, because when he has reached Kathmandu, probably he was quite tired. The next morning when he gets up, he takes Mr. Shah's son and nephew around Kathmandu, and he visits the two temples, one which is sacred for the Hindus and the other Buddha stupa that is sacred for the Buddhists. At Pashupatinath, outside which a sign proclaims entrance for the Hindus only, there is an atmosphere of febrile confusion. Priests, hawkers, devotees, tourists, cows, monkeys, pigeons and dogs roam through the grounds. So here Vikram Seth gives the description of that ground of Pashupatinath temple which he visited the next morning. Here he says that there is a lot of febrile confusion. Febrile confusion is a lot of activity can be seen over here in this area. There are a number of priests and there are a number of devotees. Devotees are those who have come over there for offering prayers and for offerings. There are tourists and there are hawkers. Hawkers are those who are selling their articles and shouting out aloud. Besides these people, there are cows, there are monkeys, there are pigeons and dogs moving around here and there in that whole of that area, in that temple ground. The worshippers, people are trying to get the priest's attention, and they are elbowing aside the others, pushing their way to the front. So Vikram Seth says that as he enters the temple, he sees a number of worshippers who are elbowing each other. Elbowing is they are pushing each other with their elbows to come to the front line and to offer their articles and their offerings to God. They are in this way gaining attention of the priests so that their work, their offerings are given to God in the first place. Here, Vikram Seth and those two, the son and the nephew, all three of them offer flowers and the offerings, and he gives a description of what happens next. As a princess, Nepalese royal house appears there, everyone bows and makes way. So he says as soon as they see a Nepalese royal house girl, a princess, coming that way, they all stand there still. They bow their heads. Bow is they bend their heads in reverence and they give full respect to that Nepalese princess.